First things first, raise your hands if you have ever used a computer before. Of course, all of us have. And thus, I'm confident that at least some of you know of the magical key combination Control-Alt-Delete. We've all heard of it. It's what we use when we need to restart a computer, or to close that one stubborn app that never works and only causes your screen to freeze. All in all, it's a rather solid concept. It's useful and practical. But the question lies, how can we apply this concept to our daily lives? What meaning can a few random keys on a keyboard possibly have outside of the digital world? Well, I believe that they represent our choices, and how those choices can change us. Just like how computers receive constant updates and improvements, so do we. The only difference is we often have to make them ourselves. One such change I personally made was actually deciding to participate in this event. You see, I've never done public speaking before such a large audience before. In fact, I'm generally terrified of the mere notion of making a speech. Every time I would present to people, it would feel as though their stares were cutting me to shreds, as though every single mistake I made reverberated through the silent room like the sound of a gong. Public speaking is one of my main phobias. And despite my fear, I still chose to sign up. So the fact that I'm standing here today is, in itself, an example of how vital it is to always, always choose to grow. Change is never easy. Sometimes it can be terror-inducing, and sometimes it can be the hardest thing you can do. But let me tell you from experience, it is always, always worth it. And I know what some of you are thinking. Change isn't always good. Sometimes trying out new things can lead you down the wrong road in life. But isn't that the crux of the matter? Because yes, some choices, they will take you to some dark places. But the only more choices paired with a desire to become and do better can take you out of them. Imagine yourself as a person traveling along the road of life. Around you are your friends and family, all traveling on their own separate roads. And those roads, they're constantly moving and twisting and turning and coming closer and moving apart. And while you're still young, your parents stay close to you. They help guide you in picking the right directions whenever you come to a crossroads or when you need to make a decision. And as you grow older and become more of your own person, you might realize that maybe what your parents want for you isn't what you truly want. My aunt grew up in a family where you never questioned your elders. Before she even turned 5, her parents had already decided on a path for her. She would work hard, go to an institute, and study music. And once she received her diploma, she would then teach it. And now, in that time, in that region, this was a rather practical choice. You see, music was held in high regard, and being able to teach it, well, it practically guaranteed a well-paying job. Unfortunately, my aunt never had much of a passion for music. She would have much preferred to go into engineering or maybe mechanics. But because of the way she was raised to accept her parents' word as law, she felt as if she had no choice but to obey and follow the path that was already laid down for her. So she threw away her dreams, her ambitions, and settled for music. I know that my aunt is far from the only person to have been essentially forced to comply with the decisions that someone else had made for her. I know that all of you know at least one person to have suffered a similar fate. And this leads me to emphasize that, like computers, times do change. and people and culture with them. Each new update, new era, new decade brings forth more opportunities and allows people to have more freedom to decide what they want to do, to branch out, and to forge their own paths, despite what others might try to stop them. And I know that having to make a decision can feel terrible. And this leads me to point out that fear of change is something we need to learn to overcome. Because fear of change is an anchor that's dragging you down into the deep, dark depths of stagnation. And stagnation, well, that's the worst state in which a person can be. Stagnation is refusal to change, refusal to act, and refusal to grow. Stagnation is just giving up and sitting down on the road of life. It is letting yourself become overgrown with those thorny vines of inaction and apathy. It is letting yourself rot away as you watch others move further and further until you can no longer see them. Stagnation is death. So the next time you come to our metaphorical crossroads, do not despair. Remember that having to make a difficult decision is far from the worst thing in the world. What is truly terrible is when others try to take that choice away from you. You must never let them do so. Respect the opinions and listen to the advice that those more experienced might give you. But keep in mind that you do not have to base your life around what they say. No one forced me to stand here and speak this speech, and no one forced you to come and listen to it. Embracing change is the first step in moving forward in life. The ability to adapt and improve is one of the many qualities that sets us, as humans, apart from, say, rocks. And thus, I'd like you to remember that you alone have the power to shape your life.